I'm down at the edit desk today, and behind me you can see one of the big reasons why I haven't been doing a whole lot of segments lately. This is the computer I use for my video editing. It's gone paws up. I've got parts on the way. Hopefully they'll solve the problem, and by the end of the week it'll be up and running again. In the meantime, I've been doing my video editing on my laptop, which is a very slow, painful process, and the big reason why I haven't been very productive lately. So let's get to today's segment. A little background on this particular street story. My wife and I have 5 cats. At the time this happened, we have 4, so that's why the numbers aren't really going to match up here. And there will be cat pictures. You just got to wait until the end. I'm going to tease you. You got to wait till the end to see the cat pictures. So this story is not about my cats. It's about a cat I never got to meet. And more specifically, about the person who is adopting that cat. So I got a call to a building at the major downtown university here where I live. When I pulled up, my passenger was a middle-aged Asian gentleman who got into the car with what looked like a messenger bag under his shoulder. So when I had accepted the ride, I started the ride, and that's when the apps will tell you your specific destination. And I saw he was going to the cat shelter that's just a few blocks from my house, or was at the time. They've actually moved now. And I saw his destination. I said, oh, that's where my wife and I adopted 2 of our 4 cats. You know, really good organization, good people there. And he decided he was going to show me the cat he was going to pick up. He was sitting in the front seat. This was back before the pandemic when people could do silly things like that. So whips out his phone, shows me the picture of the cat he's going to adopt. This is not that cat, but this picture looks very similar to that cat. It was just a beautiful cat. And I asked him, when you adopt a cat, do you keep the name the shelter gave the cat, or do you give it another name? Because at least the shelter where we got our 2 cats already, named the cats while they were there. And he said, well, my wife and I always only have 1 cat at a time, so we don't give it a name. We just call it Cat. And I had a little bit of a laugh. I thought that was just kind of a wonderful way to do it, but the simplicity of it is great. I mean, you don't have to come up with a name for your cat, but you can still refer to this little furry being in your house. Come here, cat. Again, the simplicity. Wonderful. My wife and I are ones who keep the names of the cats we get from the shelters. Now, the 2 we got from that shelter, in order of their arrival, were first Joan Jett. At the time, the shelter was naming a lot of the cats for rock stars. They said they got tired of every family that came in and picked up a kitten, naming it after a Disney princess. So the second cat we got from them was Mikey. They didn't really give much background in the way of that name. So the other 2 cats we had at the time, and still have, did not come from the shelter. First to arrive was Pico de Gato. She was one we adopted from our vet. They brought out this little kitten, and she climbed up on my shoulder and started playing with my beard, and from then on, I was her human. Her name was kind of tied in with the name of at least one other cat from the same litter who was named Perito. And Pico was a former feral, as was the cat we adopted after Mikey, Mr. Fluffy Black Pants. He's FIV positive, former feral, and just a really sweet cat. We don't really have a stinker in the bunch, at least not in terms of personality. But in terms of the emissions from their backsides, we have a real stinker. This is Martin Luther Dumplin. He is the most flatulent cat I've ever had, and let me say, it's not the smell, it's the burning in your eyes. Now, this is the only cat we did name. We did come up with the name Martin Luther Dumplin. Long story on that, but it's not tied into the 60s civil rights activist Martin Luther King. No, it's tied into the 16th century religious reformer Martin Luther. Long story on how that happened. And that leads me into a segue. I love bringing you guys stories from the road, stories from my life. If you want to keep hearing those stories, click on the subscribe button and you'll be notified when segments come out. As always, thank you for watching.